Hi, Dan Hazel here from Cut Through Coaching and Consulting, and in this edition of Talking Points I want to talk to you a little bit about the Peter Principle. The Peter Principle was put forward and popularised in 1969 in a book by the same name by Lawrence Peter and Raymond Hull. And in that book they contend that people typically get promoted until they become incompetent. What they mean by that is that the skills in which people demonstrated to be noticed and to gain recognition and to get the promotion might not necessarily be the skills that are required once in the newly promoted position. And obviously lots of organisations, businesses, companies, schools recognise that this is the case, and a lot of the time will offer professional learning and different programs to try and help people transition into the new position. But what we notice, particularly in schools and in the workplace, is that much of the professional learning tends to centre on new processes, new procedures, new responsibilities. It might be around budgeting, or it might be around other aspects of the technical side of the organisation, and not so much around the people side of the organisation. What we have noticed is that whilst people might improve their technical skills, as more and more their jobs rely on interacting with more and more people, this is one side of their professional development or personal development that gets somewhat neglected. Take, for example, a classroom teacher who does particularly well in the classroom and gets promoted to that of head of department. Going from having to manage a group of school students to managing or leading a small group of colleagues presents with it different kinds of challenges. Or perhaps the head of department, who goes from managing a small group of perhaps like-minded people, gets promoted to the role of deputy, and all of a sudden now has to manage quite a diverse and often quite a larger group of people. Or perhaps the sales representative, who does particularly well in their role as a sales rep, gets promoted to leading a sales team. What are the skills, what are the areas around emotional intelligence that people need to be able to develop in that space? The book Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman is on our recommended reading list for pretty much any program we put together, because in a lot of our experience we've seen that people or organisations actually say we're not that interested in what people have got going on in their life. We don't have time to talk about those kind of things. And I guess from our point of view, when we say we're not that interested in what our colleagues have going on outside of life, or we don't have time to talk about that, what we're hearing is you're not that interested, or you're not making time to get better in your job. For us, great leaders and great team players really understand what makes each other tick. You have real empathy for each other. And when that happens, when you've developed that real authentic empathy for each other, not only do we have more cohesion, but we also have things like more psychological safety. We have more what you might call positive risk-taking behaviours, because people aren't too concerned about levels of trust or what people are going to be thinking of them, because they've really got this cohesion amongst themselves. In fact, a lot of the research that's being done now is showing that the effectiveness of a team, of course, skill set is important, but skill set isn't nearly as important as how well the team interacts with each other, how well the team work together. Doesn't mean that they all have to be friends, doesn't mean that they all need to be, giving speeches at each other's weddings, but it does mean that there's a certain level of psychological safety in there. So I've left a couple of links below in the description about how you can learn a little bit more about psychological safety, and also a couple of recommended books if you're interested in taking your leadership or the ability to work with others to the next level. Of course, if you're interested in working with us, you can get in contact with any questions, comments or insults at hello@cutthroughhq.com. If you enjoy these talking points, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment. If you don't think they're that good, make sure you leave a comment, and we'll talk more about it. But until next time, take care, take it easy.